everyone, and welcome to my first ever tech video. Right here I have a $25 CPU. What is that? It's a 6-core, it's a 12-threaded CPU, and yeah, it's a Xeon. It's the Xeon X5670. And I got it for $25 used off AliExpress. Now I was a little bit worried about spending money, sending money to China, to AliExpress. I don't want to get ripped off. $25. I thought I'll take the chance. Here it is. I got it, a $25 CPU in this motherboard. This motherboard is an X58 Sabertooth Asus. And that I also got off AliExpress for $140. That's a little expensive. Yes, I know. You can get cheap X58 motherboards for $80. That's like less than $100. Yeah, less than $100 for the CPU and the motherboard. But I paid $140. I did it on purpose. Okay, I knew what I was doing. Maybe, I hope I knew what I was doing. But I bought this motherboard. The Chinese motherboards seem to lack a few things. This has USB 3, it has SATA 3, and it has well, enough DIMM slots. I'm not using the so many DIMM slots. I got 2 DIMMs. I got DDR3, 16 gigabytes. But I really wanted the USB 3 for adding hardware, and the SATA 3 as well, which this board does. Another advantage of having the Asus board is it's still supported. The BIOS is still supported. The drivers are supported for Windows 10. It's always great. Those Chinese ones, not so much. And also, with this motherboard, with this Asus Sabertooth X58, I can overclock. I can overclock this $25 CPU and see if it can really game. But maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to save the money. So what I'll do, I'll show you some benchmarks at stock, and then I'll show you some benchmarks with it overclocked, and then you can make your decision and see where you want to spend your money. Let's take a look. Okay, well, first up, let's check out how powerful this CPU is. Right out of the box, it's a 6-core, 12-threaded, 2.9 gigahertz CPU. Now, that means, as you can see here on the CineBench score, it has a really, really nice multi-core point score, 1,498. However, the single core is where it lacks in the points, only 190. This is because it is an older type CPU, and a lot of the other modern day CPUs, they have a really good single core. Now that may hurt it later in gaming, but we'll come to that later. Now I was able to overclock it to about 4 gigahertz stable, and that gives it a really good multi-core performance in CineBench 1828 and a single core of 244, which is a little bit lower than a Ryzen 1500X. However, it's really close, and at $25 you're getting a Ryzen 1500X essentially, although a Ryzen 1500X would give you a little better support. Let's see how the Xeon performs in gaming. Wow, well, as you can see here, it's already got over 10,000, almost 11,000 points. 10,724 points on FireStrike. That's in HD, 1080p. I mean, straight out of the box, stock. This thing can game. This is running an RX 570. Not the best of cards, but it's certainly capable here. Let's see how it runs on the overclock. All right, we see here on the overclock, yes, at 4.2 gigahertz, we have gained some points. We've gained about 477 points. So that could be a few frames or so. The only way to see how it works is to check out some games. First up is the Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now this is on high preset, so with everything on high except depth of field is normal, shadow quality normal, level of detail normal. Everything on pure hair is set to normal, and yeah, even at stock, I was pretty surprised. I didn't think this would run as smoothly. The frame rate is a little low now because I'm doing video capturing. I don't have a capture card, but as you can see, it's still holding its own. Now also, I wasn't able to capture the results of the stock, but I can tell you it did get an average 58 at stock at 2.9 gigahertz. That's 50 frames per second, 58 frames per second. I think with a little tweaking, you could easily get this running smoothly at 60 frames per second at stock with a cheap Chinese motherboards. Remember, you can actually get one of these Chinese motherboards, X58, for about $80, maybe even cheaper if you shop around on AliExpress. Again, you are going to lose things. You're not going to be able to put a fast SSD in. It'll only have SATA 2, and you won't get that USB 2 support. So if you have any peripherals, you know, if you want to add a webcam or something like that, an external hard drive, you're not going to get the speeds. It's only going to be USB 2, unless you pay a little more and get one of these Saber X58 motherboards. Have to shop around. There's not many of these left. They're getting quite sought after now. And yeah, I think even on a cheaper motherboard, you could get some pretty good gaming performance playing Tomb Raider. Especially this one. If you can play Shadow of the Tomb Raider, you'll be able to play all of them easily. This is probably one of the most graphically intensive Tomb Raider games. And as you can see here, it's running nicely. Again, this is on an RX 570. A 570 was not the stronger card. Like I said, I couldn't get the screen to capture the end of the benchmark, but I did do a cheeky photo, and as you can see, it's stock. Yeah, it got an average FPS of 58. Now, interestingly enough here, actually through overclocking, I've got less FPS. My average is 53 FPS, and I'm not sure why. I'm at 4 gigahertz here. It does say I'm GPU bound by 100%. So maybe this is just a little too fast for this RX 570, and I'm starting to bottleneck. I could try overclocking the GPU, but I think I'll save that for another video. Still, definitely a playable frame rate for this. And again, you could lower the settings. These are all on high. Lower them to medium. You should be getting 60 FPS. Definitely playable on this CPU. Next up, we have Far Cry 5, another AAA game from Ubisoft. The footage you're seeing now isn't actually from the benchmark. I'm using my capture through software, so it does hit the CPU a little bit, but the results I'll give you are from just doing the benchmark. Again, first I'll show you the stock, and then we'll look at the overclock for this CPU. We'll only do a couple of games for this video, as I think it's going on far too long already. If you'd like me to do more videos with some more benchmarks, then please let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely be able to do that for you. But let's have a look at the results for the stock of Far Cry 5. Again, you'll have to excuse the quality of the screenshots. I had to do this with my phone. I think at stock I just had everything off and I didn't have everything installed. You know, it was really, really stock. Anyway, you can see average FPS 55, definitely playable, doesn't drop to 30 FPS. And you know, most consoles these days, they're playing games at 30 FPS, so this is definitely a playable experience at stock. Now here the overclock did make a difference and it really improved the FPS. We now have an average FPS of 60, so that's a definite improvement and a very, very playable experience with the overclock to 4 GHz. Well everyone, that's it. That's the X5670 overclocked to 4 GHz. And that's plenty good for gaming. Now, if you wanted to buy one of these processors and put it in a Chinese board, you won't get the overclocking, you won't get the USB 3, and you won't get the SATA, but you'll have a nice processor and you'll save a ton of money. And yeah, definitely, you'll have a gaming computer. Now, if you want to buy one of these motherboards, you can overclock it. You will get Ryzen 1500X performance, but you will have to pay a little bit more for the board. Of course, you could just go for a Ryzen 1500X. You get it full supported. You get the faster memory. You'll probably get M.2 SSD. It's a little bit more money, but it is better supported. Now that's all up to you. Let me know what you think. If you want me to do more in depth about the hardware, just tell me in the comments. Let me know if you want me to tell you about how I did the overclocking. Let me know if you want me to try a different graphics card in here, or if you want me to talk about any more of the different components. And of course, let me know if you want me to do a review of an X78 motherboard. Those have a little bit better performance and are still very, very affordable. But that's it for today. 4 GHz on the X5670. It's looking good. Thank you for watching the first episode of Tech Powder. See you in the next one.